Welcome back to Fruitful Living. I'm Dawn, and we are continuing phase 2 of our garden audit. Pest control. Last, we talked about the locusts of gossip. Today, we're looking at a more subtle threat. We're talking about the poison of sarcasm and harshness. Sometimes we think our words are just a little bit of humor, a small joke, or that sharp words are just a defense mechanism. But in reality, they act like a toxin that wilts the hearts of the people around us. In a garden, certain chemicals or pests can poison the soil, making it impossible for anything tender to survive. In our homes, harshness is that poison. It's the mental trigger that makes us snap when we're tired or yell when we are so annoyed, or use sarcasm to poke at someone's insecurities, saying, "I'm just joking." Interestingly, sarcasm literally came from an ancient Greek verb meaning to tear flesh. This episode is addressing sarcasm and harshness, which are separate things. Some may be thinking, I'm sarcastic, but I'm just joking. I'm not being mean. Or I'm not angry. I'm not yelling. I'm not harsh. It is worth doing a heart check and considering how the joke is being received. For those on the receiving end of the jokes, the teasing can feel harsh and can hit deep. While preparing for this episode, I was interested in the psychological effects of teasing and doing some research on the effects of just joking. I came across an article in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, which said, although it is often seen as innocent and playful by the teaser, it tends to be construed as considerably more malicious by the target. Harshness alone, all jokes aside, hurts. When we use a harsh tone, we aren't just venting, we are spreading toxins. A study published in the Journal of Family Psychology showed key findings of the effects on children who had a parent who used harsh words, yelling, hostile tones, and threats. And there was no evidence of improved behavior. And instead, there was significant evidence of increased anxiety, depression, and aggression, along with much lower self-esteem. Harsh words create a space where the ones we love feel like they have to walk on eggshells, where any chance of vulnerability or connection is choked out by the fear of being bitten. In today's great exchange, we are swapping the poison of harshness for the healing of gentle words. Gentleness isn't weakness, it's power under control. It's the choice to use words that build up and soothe rather than words that cut and burn. So often it just takes a bit of mindfulness and a pause to stop the harshness and give a gentle tone instead. Let's look at the word because the Bible tells us that our tongues have the power of life and death. When we choose a soft answer over a sharp response, we are actually pouring medicine into our relationships. Colossians chapter 4, verse 6, Paul writes to the Christians, "Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one." But what does it mean to have our speech seasoned with salt? Well, salt is a preservative. It adds flavor, and it even soothes and heals. Let's read that verse again. Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one. When we speak, we should do so with grace, providing improvement to the conversation, being soothing and healing. Jesus tells us in Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has become tasteless, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by people." Can you think of a time when what you said was distasteful or harsh? I know I sure can. Let's look at another verse. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers. This is very clear instructions to Christians. It reminds me of the old saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. But let's break down this verse. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth. Corrupt, meaning dishonorable, deceitful, or shameful. But what is good for necessary edification. So, what is good or positive for needed guidance, that it may impart grace to the hearers. So, spread or communicate or relay civility or decorum or simply just manners to the people who are listening. Here's your 60-second garden task for today. I want you to do a tone check. At some point today, when you're frustrated or hurried, catch yourself before you respond. If you feel sarcastic or sharp or angry, swallow it, choke it down, and replace it with a gentle, factual statement. Say to yourself, Lord, let my words be seasoned with the salt and give grace to the hearer. Help me to use my tongue to heal, not to hurt. I choose to be the person who brings the soft answer into the moment. Thank you for joining me on day 6 of our garden audit. I hope your words bring life and sweetness to everyone you encounter today. And join me tomorrow for episode 7, where we tackle the mildew of complaining. Until then, Stay fruitful.